When it comes to the player's loadout, the throwable slot is the least thought about part. More time is put into what mask and outfit the player wants to wear than what one of the 16 throwables they want to use. The only time people think about their throwable is when the deck they are playing has one. So what throwables are good? What do some of them even do? Today I'll be doing my best to rank them in relation to the highest difficulty while giving examples of ways to use each and every single one of them. In order to rank them, I need to explain how my rankings work. I will split each throwable into 5 tiers. Completely dominant, legit use case on serious builds, legit use case if you stretch it, just worse than another option, and bad. I find all of these tiers pretty self-explanatory. If something is considered just worse than another option, it does not mean it's unusable. It's just hard to justify using it compared to the other option, which does the same thing, just better. I won't be ranking the deck throwables because they are only used on their deck, and it would become more of a ranking of the deck itself than the throwable. Fully loaded ace and the ordnance bag are the last things of importance to talk about. Fully loaded, outside of being the most poorly placed skill in the game, lets you pick up grenades from ammo boxes at a 5% chance, and every time you don't get one, it goes up by 1%. The ordnance bag is a DLC deployable that has 4 total uses. Each one allows you to fully refill your throwables. Fully loaded ace and the ordnance bag make some throwables usable and the best throwables better. With all the important information out of the way, let's talk throwables. Starting with concussion grenades, they are the best non-deck throwable. If your deck isn't taking a deck throwable or needs a Zerk method, the concussion is the best and honestly only real option. The concussion is so powerful that there have been genuine debates over whether or not it provides more value to Sicario than its own smoke bomb. Concussions, when thrown, stun enemies in a 15-meter radius. The only enemies it doesn't stun are dozers and martial shields with their shield up for whatever reason. Dozers do get an accuracy penalty. This doesn't do much, but it's something. Stunning enemies is massive. You can clear space safer, along with getting revives and doing objectives far easier and faster. If you are trying to get a hand revive, just throw 2 concussions and stick it, and 90% of the time, you will be good to go. You also get a massive number of 6 concussion grenades. Most other throwables, you only get 3 of them, and they do less than the concussion. The concussion's effect gives you more value, and you get more of them, making them overwhelmingly dominant in the throwable slot. There's a good reason you see them in every single build video. The Molotov is the go-to throwable to lower your health. It lets decks, mostly anarchist, drop a throwable instead of a deployable, weapon slot, or skill points to get a better Zerk. It's also a solid area denial tool. Throw it on a spawn group and watch them burn. If you take the ordnance bag, you can just chuck mollies and lock a spawn point down for quite a while. Is this as useful as saving it for a Rezerk? Not really, but if you aren't eating meds often, this is a nice thing the throwable does. Molotovs are overall a solid choice. Snowballs are an event throwable, so if you want to use them more than once a year, you do need the mod Timeless Event items. Snowballs, like the Molotov, is a tool that lets you lower your HP in order to get a better Zerk. Unlike Molotovs, they are an infinite throwable due to recharging. They deal lower damage, so it takes longer to kill enemies or Zerk, but you do get 6 of them. The second major use of snowballs is their almost guaranteed stagger against common enemy types. This is extremely helpful. Extremely is a strong word, I'm really stretching it, when trying to convert a cop, as most builds taking snowballs are using Berserk or Bloodthirst, making melee tedious. Is this cope? Sure, but it's something. Overall, snowballs have a real niche on good builds. They also do some in stealth, but what the fuck do you want from me? Viper grenades are generally quite useful. Compared to Molotovs, they have a wider area of effect, go through walls, and stun more enemy types. However, Molotovs actually kill enemies. The major problem with Viper grenades is the total number you get. In order for gas to shine, you need to reapply the effect frequently to get any real value. However, given you only have 2 of them at a time, you really can't spam the spawn points like you could with a grenade launcher with gas rounds. If you take fully loaded ace or an ordnance bag, you can help mitigate this problem. However, these are expensive options. Fully loaded ace is 28 skill points, and the ordnance bag costs the deployable slot. Overall, the Viper grenades are a solid option that is ruined by its point cost. Throwing knives and axes function exactly the same. Yes, even the damage is the same. However, you get 3 less axes than knives, so just use knives. Unless you're a new player and can't buy the John Wick DLC anymore. They struggle with having a real point, as your guns do the whole killing thing far better than knives ever could. If you make a build around throwing knives, they are a solid killing tool, being able to one-shot even up to medics to the head. All damaging throwables also proc Saw Massacre, with knives being the best at it. While that is extremely impractical, I just think it's neat. Throwing knives struggle with the common things throwing weapons struggle with. They can get stuck in enemies that leave the map, causing you to just lose that knife. They can also be a bit of an annoyance to aim with, while being very punishing to miss. Throwing knives are a throwing weapon. They have the ability to crit, which can even come in handy against bulldozers, killing them in 2 crits. This is not better than the javelin's ability as anti-dozer, but it's a nice upside to the weapon. Throwing knives and axes, while overly niche, shine on builds that can find real value with them. Shurikens used to be on par with throwing knives before they got nerfed last year. As we all know, shurikens and poison bows were the real problem with poison weapons and deserved to be nerfed. Due to no longer piercing body armor and the Surefire's skill not working on throwing weapons because God is dead, they lost the real niche they had, now being a throwing knife that doesn't insta-kill. But you get 4 more of them, so that's an upside. Due to it being a poison weapon, you will hit a headshot and the stun takes a second to apply, so you have to pay far more attention to the cop you would have just insta-killed with throwing knives. Overall, they're just worse than throwing knives and have no real niche. Javelin's major niche is they're a strong anti-dozer tool. If your build doesn't need an anti-dozer, they don't really serve that much of a purpose besides being really cool. Many builds also just don't need an anti-dozer tool. Crit AK-17 kills dozers in 4 seconds, and most guns are taking crit or another damage skill to make up for their lack of anti-dozer. A much longer wind-up time than throwing knives, making them even more punishing to miss. The slow wind-up also can mess with your bullseye timings, as all thrown weapons can proc bullseye. Also, due to their size, they are able to be picked up far easier. The only issue they have as anti-dozer is the faceplate. 2 crits to the body and normal dozers will die, but you need to break the faceplate to insta-kill dozers with the javelin. Overall, javelins are pretty solid if your build actually needs them. The last of the throwing weapons, throwing cards, are terrible. They are playing cards. I don't think anyone would expect them to be good. You do get 21, however they do so little damage, you need the 21. The only good way to run them is with crits, taking its cards to kill from a 7 to a lowest of 2, depending on how many crits you hit that day. They also greatly suffer from being a throwing weapon. In order to kill anything, you need to hit multiple throwing cards in a row. With how terrible the throwing arc can be, and how sporadic cops can be at times, hitting anything is a pain in the ass. Throw a throwing card at a cop, hit him in the head once, you crit, congratulations. He now staggers and falls over, making your next throwing card the worst thing to hit ever. All of the other throwing-based weapons kill in one or have another utility, so why even use the throwing cards ever? They are the only bad throwable in the entire game. There are 5 explosive grenades. Frag, HEF, and Matryoshka are all functionally the same. You have frag grenades, frags but free, and frags but funny. Struggle with competing with your guns, which can clear spawns faster than grenades do, and grenades, while being worse than your guns, can get shot out of the air and blow up in your face. Grenades also, due to their bouncing ability, can just land at your feet again. Throw them at a shield, the shield just bounces it back at you and kills you. Is this extraordinarily rare? Absolutely. But it can happen. Additionally, they can be a Zerk tool, but mollies just do that better, and this is a cope for using grenades. Dynamite, on the other hand, is grenades, but cool. It's better than the other 3 because it cannot be shot out of the air. That's it. Dynamite also doesn't roll like grenades, but who really cares about that, I guess? I don't know, it could be useful. Dynamite otherwise functions exactly the same and suffers from the exact same problems. Adhesive grenades function like other grenades, however, they can also not be shot out of the air. The big difference is they stick to enemies, which can either be good or bad depending on where they decide to move to. The timer can also just be a bit too long, as it only starts once it connects with an enemy or lands on the ground. If the enemy decides it wants to just walk away from all the other cops around it, your grenade can occasionally just only kill one guy, due to something completely out of your control. Adhesive grenades also are a bit bugged against shields. If it sticks to a specific part of the shield, it can just deal 0 damage. Additionally, they can be thrown 70 meters, allowing for sick adhesive grenade trick shots. Overall, when it comes to explosive grenades, use either adhesive or dynamite. The other 3 are just worse outside of style. I like Matryoshkas because they're funny. They overall only have a real use on niche builds as they struggle competing against your guns, which are the strongest things of all time. Incendiary grenades kind of suck. You get 6 of them, but the fire DOT can't even kill heavy swats. It's a worse concussion for stun because the range is extraordinarily small, along with being a worse grenade because it can't kill enemies in one throw. Incendiary grenades attempt to be a mix of 2 different grenades, while just failing at it. The biggest upside of incendiary grenades is that they do kill shields, so they're a better anti-shield utility than normal grenades due to getting 3 more of them. However, every build in the game has anti-shield. Anti-shield is a secondary weapon, which is extremely strong in the 5.7, or 9 skill points for shock and awe, or you're taking a sniper, or lastly you just have AP or a grenade launcher, or all of these different anti-shield options that are infinite, unlike your 6 incendiary grenades. Overall, incendiary grenades are kind of just a weak tool, and don't really have a general niche compared to every other type of grenade in the game. The last and most forgettable grenade is the X1 Zapper. It's generally a worse concussion, having similar range, while stunning all enemies. The downside being, you get 2 less of them. Their advantages compared to concussions is that Zappers stun enemies longer through walls. They used to reload your gun, but Starbreeze hates fun and removed that, because as we know, weird niche weapon reloads are problematic, while Gray's sniper rifles, they're cool to go, and they're allowed to stay. You also can't do the tried and true concussion escape plan of throwing it at your feet, then running away in a bad situation, as it will just electrocute you as well. Overall, they are just worse than concussions, but kinda get the style factor for them. That is every throwable ranked. This is the final tier list. Of course, if something is niche, or just worse than another option, and even just bad, it doesn't make it unusable, just suboptimal. I highly suggest trying each of these at least once, and trying to come up with a cool build that uses a different throwable than just a standard 2. I want the last thing of importance to be, please, I beg you, actually use your throwables. I've had so many games where someone just hoards their 6 concussions like a dragon instead of actually throwing them. They are one of the strongest things in the entire game and can save games. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I know this video was a little late than I wanted it to be originally. I had a different video planned, then I scrapped it because I didn't like it that much. And I got sick, then I took a break from Payday for a bit, but I'm back. I'm more motivated than ever to make videos, and the next video is on the way, and I'm excited for that one as well. Special thank you to Not Your Average Stalin, of course, as always. He is a wonderful help with these videos.